Wonderful. Thank you, Jillian. Really nice playing. I can tell that you've played this a lot because you have a really high level of accuracy, which means you've practiced and practiced, and it's really into your fingers, which is nice to see. This song is from the Guardians of Erinmore, so it's about Celtic warriors, and so the pieces need to often have a really stately and grand and heroic feel, and you captured that right away from the very beginning. So you weren't rushed, you took your time, and you kind of let us hear those heroic sounds underneath the piece, which is really nice, and that's especially hard to do when you know other people are listening to you, which is great. You have really nice phrasing, so I can tell that you're listening to yourself as you play, and so you're able to kind of make adjustments as you play and change things as you go, and that's what makes live performances really special, is that we know that it's happening in your mind and that you're choosing and you're making those choices as you play. So nice job with that. Another thing you're doing really well is your hand balance. So this piece requires kind of shifts between which hand is taking over the melody line, and you've done that really nicely. There wasn't one hand that overpowered the other one, which is it's an upper level technique, so good for you. Your crossovers were great, so that coordination of being able to cross your left hand over top of your right hand, that's tricky too. It's using both sides of your brain in a different way than we're used to, and you coped with those really well. You had some nice rubato in there, some really appropriate pauses and little musical moments where you stopped and let us just kind of absorb what was happening in the piece, and those were really well planned out. You were able to really kind of paint a picture in our mind, and that's something that's really important when you're performing, because that's you want to make your audience feel something, and you did a really nice job of that. So congratulations on all your hard work. Thank you for playing for me today. I really appreciate it. Okay, so we're going to move on to Riley now. So I'm just going to spotlight Riley. Hi, Riley.
Hi, I'm Riley, and I'm playing Wolf.
Great. Wonderful, Riley, thank you. Really nice job. So this piece is all about contrasts. So when I was writing it, I was actually thinking of the story of Little Red Riding Hood. So in the beginning, that's where you have that sort of innocent sound of the story of a little girl skipping through the woods, and then she meets the wolf And then in the end, you as the performer gets to decide what happens and who wins. So it's not always the wolf in some people's minds. Sometimes Red Riding Hood comes out on top. And so I thought you did a really nice job of setting us up in that piece, thinking it was just going to be a nice melodic lyrical piece. And then bam, you had that contrast change, which was great. You probably scare your fish behind you when you played that at home because you had that immediate switch. It was really nice. You had really nice dynamic contrast. So having those softs and loud in there is something that we can use as a performer to help build tension in a piece. And when we build tension, it gets our audience really excited. And then when we get to those climax points, we release that tension. And that's what really makes something interesting to listen to. And so everything you're doing, your phrasing, your nice steady tempo, the choices you made with your dynamics, that ability to show contrast, that all really contributed to those moments of climax in your piece, which were really nice. And again, as I said to Jillian, those are all things that you have to be thinking about in the moment while you're playing, because we adjust things as we go and as we listen to ourselves. And so you're doing a nice job of kind of that self-reflection while you're playing. I can see you thinking, which is great. Your crossovers were beautiful. Often students aren't able to do the full octave over top, and you can do it, which is fantastic. You have great piano hands. Often we just have to resort to just one note, and I put those octaves in as a challenge for students who are able to do it, and you coped with them really nicely. Not only were you able to reach them, but both notes were going down at the same time, which is what we're hoping for. So good for you with that. And the other thing that I heard that you did really well is your hand balance in the middle section was really nice. It's really easy for those repeated chords to become thumpy or heavy sounding and kind of take over. And you were really, really careful about not letting that happen. I could still hear the melody line over top and underneath that. And they didn't sound thumpy at all, which was really nice. If you've ever played on a keyboard where you have the orchestra setting, this one's a really fun one to play because it kind of sounds like violins and violas making those sounds. And so that gives you kind of an idea of how it could sound if it was set in an orchestra. And sometimes when we play piano, we can take those same sort of symphonic ideas and put them into how we play. And whether or not you were thinking of that, that's how it came across, which was perfect. It was almost like you had two sections of an orchestra playing together. So it was really nice. And in this piece, I always listen for the very last line because I know it's hard. And I could see you kind of take a deep breath and you went for it and it was perfect. So great accuracy on that. That's really nice to hear. Good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, and now Lola. So I will spotlight Lola. There you are.
Hi, I'm Lola, and I'm going to be playing Labyrinth.
Great. Thank you, Lola. That was wonderful. So this piece is in A minor, and it's written brooding at the top of the piece for how to play it. And I thought you did that immediately. With the first few notes, I knew exactly how you're going to go with the rest of the piece, which was nice. It's nice to take your audience and kind of prepare them for what's to come at the very beginning of the piece. And I thought you did that really well. We knew immediately that it was going to be kind of a minor and moody sounding piece, and you continued that through the whole thing, which was really nice. You have beautiful fluency. Do you know what that means? Yeah, so you're able to play without any hesitations. We feel like we're kind of just being taken on this lovely ride. There's no moments where you're abruptly stopping. And you've done that because you've worked really hard on the fingering. So this piece is all about getting to know those scales. So I can tell that you've been practicing those because your fingering was really accurate, which meant that there was no stumbles or hesitations or anything like that. So very nicely done. And the other thing with this piece, because it's a scale study piece, you're switching between right and left hand in terms of which one is playing the scale. And you just did that flawlessly. It didn't seem to bother you at all if which hand was playing. So really nice job with that. You did a great work with that crescendo at the bottom of page 1 that leads up into the climax on page 2. You really kind of had some good pre-thought for that, and you were able to plan it out. Sometimes crescendos can surprise us and we don't have enough time to go from soft all the way, but you had it planned out really nicely. So when you got to the forte there, it was perfectly planned. It wasn't abrupt at all, which was really nice. And then you handled the return to the main theme. I think it's measure 25 on page 2, where the main theme comes back again. As the audience members, our ears are just tuned to listen for things that are familiar. And so when you're performing and you're coming back to a main theme again, it's almost like giving your audience members like an oral gift. You're like, here, remember this? Here it is again. And you set that up really nicely, and it was almost kind of like oh, there it is again. And you played it exactly as you did the first time. So it was a really comfortable place for your audience to be, which is nice. It's always nice to do that for your audience. So that was really nice. You had a beautiful steady tempo. You set your tempo at the beginning and it stayed the same through the whole thing. And that meant that your rhythm could be really accurate, which is important in these sort of study pieces too. So great accuracy, great fluency, and I can tell that you've really practiced this a lot. So good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And so before we finish, I just wanted to take a moment to congratulate all of you students for making the shift to online lessons in what was a really short amount of time, and to thank your families if they're listening for helping you and supporting you and continuing. I know online lessons aren't really the same as going to Mrs. Fitz's studio, but you've continued on because you love music and because you know how important it is to have music in your life, and because you really want to be fantastic musicians. And in continuing on, you become better pianists. Look at how well you're all playing right now. But you've also brought music to your families during kind of a stressful and difficult time, and that's really important. And these skills that you're learning right now will help you to continue to bring music to others once this is over. So I just wanted to remind you of how important that is, and to say great job for continuing on even though things have really changed. I think Mrs. Fitz wanted to say a few words to you before we finish, so I will just spotlight her. Hello.
Hello, and thank you so much all to our performers and the future performers for today's recital. It is such a pleasure to see each of you online. We all, as Andrea just explained, you know, we've all kind of been through a stressful time, and this music is really so nourishing to all of us. So thank you so much. It's been wonderful to see you all growing through this experience of online lessons, and you're really surprising me with your practice and your diligence, and it's really showing in your playing. And I just feel like it's been not only a stressful time, but it's actually been a great time of growth, and I just am really
yeah.
So thank you for your time today and sharing your music with us. It's been really
pleasure. And thank you all of you for preparing these pieces for me to hear. I know there's been lots of hours of preparation in it. If you don't mind, I'd like to take a quick group screenshot. So I'm just going to make a gallery view here. And then when I count to 3, if you just give me a wave.
Yeah.
Here, let me set it up. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you very much, everyone. Keep making music. It was really nice to meet you online. Thank you for all of your hard work. And I hope to hear you play again soon. I'd love to do this again in a year from now and see how much you have changed. So have a wonderful day, and thanks for your time and for performing for me. Thank you, Jen. Nice to meet you.
Thank you too. May we stay for the rest of this recital with the other?
That one's not until 3 o'clock.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your great comments. Feedback was really great to hear. So thank you so much for doing this for us.
Well, you have some wonderful students.
Thank you. Take care then.
Bye-bye.
Bye.